All right, everybody, welcome back. This week, we've got something a little different. We've got a special guest, and she is going to share with us what women wish men knew, but don't say out loud. So buckle up, Buttercup. We've got a great episode for you, and you don't want to miss it. And it's coming at you right now. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, make sure and smash that like button, subscribe to Outspoken, share the show with everyone you know, and hit the bell icon to get updated when we upload new episodes. So, today we have Michelle on the show. Hi, Michelle. How's it going?
Hi. It's going.
And so it's going. That's good. Yeah. So the title of today's show is What Women Wish Men Knew, but Don't Say Out Loud. So we're going to get into this and kind of go over some things. Now, I did something really quick. Ask ChatGPT. I asked it what women wish that men knew. So this is what it came back with. Women often wish men understood that emotional safety, consistency, and effort are more valued than grand gestures or perfection. They desire to be heard, not fixed, and appreciate when men notice small details and share the emotional load rather than just solving problems. Key needs include respect for their independence and proactive emotional support. So what do you think? Does the AI algorithm kind of have women down somewhat, or is it way off base? Is some of it good?
I think it's pretty accurate. It can be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Depending on the person and personality, I would figure it would be pretty accurate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would imagine just with like everything else. I mean, what do you think, Joe? Like, you can't categorize every guy the same, right? Guys we're all different too. And women are all different in their desires and wants. But there is that truth in men and women are wired differently, but men are wired the same and women are wired the same. You know, we have our same basic desires. And one of the things that I think guys have a tough time with is that we are fixers. If you tell us, hey, I have this issue or whatever, that we want to fix it, you know, make it better. And that's not always the best option, right?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I think that's in perspective. I mean, that's a perspective view. I don't know if it's the best option. It might not be the best option for an individual, but it might be the best option for the situation. I mean, I get it, but I don't think everything should be tied down to this is what it is. Well, here's the thing. I'm a man, so I have to. Right. I have to do it, right? So
the only way I know how to explain is through man words.
Mansplaining. Yeah. So, but we live in a society where everything's a red flag. Everything's like, oh, it's a red flag. Oh, that's a red flag. And, you know, like we talked about in previous episodes, it's that women or men, both, I can't even say women or men, we tend to bring our past experience of other relationships into the current relationship, thus drowning it with past pains and past hurts and things like that. So it becomes we use the term loosely too, toxic, right? It becomes a toxic relationship because it just creates this pattern that goes over and over again. And I get it. Women want consistency. They want to feel safe. They want to feel secure, that they want to feel like the man's there to protect them without them having to ask it, you know, and I get it. I'm all for that. But sometimes it's a little bit more difficult than just men don't read women the way women read men. You know, women wear their emotions on their sleeve, and they could go up to a girlfriend and say, oh my God, today was such a heavy day, this and that. A man will go to another man and say, man, how was the day? Ah, it was good. You know, and now that's the gif of the whole conversation. You're like, you're done. There's no more. There's no emotional connection to that. I'm glad the day's over. Let's have a beer. You know, where a woman is a little bit more precise and more direct, and and they're more explicit of what's happening to them, right? Where a man is like, I don't want to give all those emotions. Again, we become vulnerable, and we don't like that. Men do not like vulnerability because it's another sign of weakness, right? And I think what Michelle is saying, I think in agreeing to what you said from the AI, is that men should be vulnerable with the people they love, right? With the people they've invested in, that they've got a future they're building together, whatever the case is. They should have that vulnerability, because I think then women are able to connect a little bit better. And again, because of some of the things that you and I have talked about, Jay, men don't like to be vulnerable because that's a weakness. That's a weak point in a man. And we'd rather not deal with that. But if we do that with the people we love, our partners, then again, we're blocking them, and we shouldn't treat our women how we treat our guy friends. You know what I mean? We shouldn't keep
Right.
that distance of I'm a man, I got this. We should be more like, okay, I get what you're saying, and try to understand. But women also don't like to and it is just my opinion, don't like to explain much. They don't want to feel like they want to overwhelm their man. They don't want to overwhelm him. They don't want to put too much on him. He's already doing too much. I don't want to, and the thing is, we are used to taking it in. But if you don't give us enough data, like, hey, I want you to build this shed for me. But if I don't have enough data on what you need, I'm going to end up building you like a 5x5 little shed and you fit nothing in, right? But then you're like,
Right.
I can't fit nothing in that, right? Well, you didn't give me enough information for me to figure that out. You know what I'm saying, Michelle? Like, if you
Right.
want something, you have to kind of talk to us about it, or else we're just like, hey, I got this thing going on and blah, blah. And the first thing we want to do is like, okay, you know what you need to do is you need to drop that friend. You need to make sure that you talk to your boss, tell your boss that you're not going to be doing that anymore. But we have solutions to your problem.
Right.
But a lot of times women just want you to listen, right? Am I wrong? Or
Well, yeah. Communication's that's a key. Communication, when both female and male can communicate, and men just want to hear the skinny of it, like very short, like, oh, can you do this? Yes, no. Women are more compassionate. They want to feel not just valued, but they want to have more communication, and they want to be understood. They want to be listened to, hear me out. I want this done, but, it's going to take A, B, and C, and D. So that's the perspective, like my perspective. But, yeah, definitely. We want to feel valued, respected. We want men not just to have their own, what would it called, like a cave area. They want to feel like they're part of it as well, not just saying, like you're on your own, come in, drink your beer and watch a show or something. No, they want to be like part of the whole family.
So that's a big one. That's a big one. You just said the whole, like, you're talking about like a man cave kind of thing.
Yeah. Like the man cave. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's not really great as far as women are concerned, that the guy goes off, because basically saying that he's excluding you purposely by building a space to be solo. Yeah.
And you know what?
Gotcha.
It's not a bad thing. I'll be honest with you. It's not a bad thing, because I have friends that will build the man cave in their home because they don't want their husbands to go out somewhere, like at the bar or something. So they build it at home.
Yeah.
So they bring over the friends, and that's okay. That's good. But at the same time, sometimes women want to feel part of it. Like, oh, we want to watch the game with their husbands or boyfriends or whatever. They just want to be part of it, and that's part of, like, I would say it would be part of value. You have to value your wife, your girlfriend, hey, honey, sit here with me when we watch the game. Of course, it doesn't go for everybody because everyone's different. There's some people that they don't care. They just rather have the man in their cave. And there's some women that want to join in and be part of it. So, I mean, it's a little bit of for everybody, Not
yeah, in the last decade, that word has come up. It's called a she shed. So it's the female version of the man cave, and women have like their whatever women like to do. Whether it's, I guess some will do pottery, some do sewing, some do collecting of certain things. I don't know, teacups. What do women collect? Is there a thing? Like,
I would think more like girls' night out. Honestly,
girls' night out. Yeah,
I don't think we have like a woman cave, but I think it would be more like a girls' night out, girls' trip, hot summer, whatever.
I think women collect
girl summer.
Women collect all the bad things you did. That's what they do.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. We never forget. We're like detectives. You do something wrong, boy. We can bring that out like if we were FBI. I'm serious.
Yeah, there's 50 terabytes somewhere on a PC with all the complaints about you, bro.
Exactly.
Do you remember that? Remember that one time you didn't hold my hand? It was about 10 years ago. We were at the fair, and I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" I guess I have a long span memory.
Oh yeah, for sure. We can think of everything from like day one to everything. Like, remember that day you didn't call me? Remember that day you went with your friends? We can think of everything. Doesn't it?
I'm glad you brought that up. Let me ask you this: Why do women hold on to things like that. Simple things, simplest of things. And I know that a lot of it is, correct me if I'm wrong, and it might be, but a lot of it could be even the women's, your partner's own self-esteem or lack thereof. But why do women remember like the simplest of things? Like, a man looks a certain direction and like, oh, you're looking at that girl, or things like that. But then when the man,
Well,
it's on the other foot, when the shoe's on the other foot, and the man does that, women all of a sudden like, why do you overthink stuff? Why are you like, we talked about communication being the key, so why is it that the communication between men and women always are different when it comes to them? I'm not complaining, but what I'm saying,
yeah,
like, what's good for the goose, good for the gander, is that how something goes like that? So
right, right.
why is it that a woman's explanation is not good enough for the man to have the same? Why is that?
Right. Well, first of all, like a woman wants to be their number one. So, like, if you're looking at somebody else, you're like, why, And it all comes with also insecurities. It all comes with emotional baggage. It all comes from maybe past relationships that you're bringing into the new relationship. And sometimes that doesn't go away for a lot of people. And for a lot, they do. I mean, you start a
Yeah.
new relationship, you want to that's like a new slate. You're not going to bring in certain things into that relationship. So you put boundaries, you set boundaries for yourself. But yeah, I know, and some women will be like, why are you looking at her? What about her? Whatever it is, then it's the insecurities that will build up, and typically that's what it is.
And that carries on to the new now. Do women think about that? Do women think like, what, this is a new relationship, nothing to do with the last? And it could be like the simplest things. I think one of the scenarios that I brought up to Jay was that, in your last relationship, you had maybe a boyfriend that yelled at you all the time, or your husband, whatever the case was, or insulted you, or just spoke down to you, lost respect for you, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
You come to a new relationship, and the woman is more on the defensive because she wants to make sure that this relationship is not anything like the other one. And the man, to get a word in, has to raise his voice, not yell, just raise his voice so you can hear me, so you can be heard. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you're toxic, you're screaming at me and yelling at me, when that's not even the case.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you think that women should step back and say, you know what, it is not the same relationship, this is not the same person, this is someone else? I should at least give them the opportunity to rise to the occasion, the opportunity to prove himself, instead of just label him, red flag. And
Right.
and again, this is thing that's important, and these are things that men want to know that we don't know. And I think it's a great opportunity right now to ask you, like, why do we have to battle these things? And what is it? You, is it us? Is it just the fact that, and I hate the term damaged goods, because no one's damaged goods, it's just bad
Right.
experiences, and you get into this roller coaster up and down, and then before you know it, you can become complacent. You're just there, and it's easier to stay there than to move on, and just things like that. How can you explain that as a woman, as to what should we do? What should men do?
So sometimes it's just maturity. I know, like, when you're younger, you make a lot of mistakes, right? And as you get older and you figure things out, you're like, okay, I'm not going to do those things again. And sometimes they're just triggers, like, oh, that happened to me, but you haven't gotten the right therapy, or even the right, I would say, the right counseling, somebody that counseled you, or maybe that you saw a different perspective, like, okay, you're not supposed to do that, you should react this way, maybe be more calm about things. And then not just that, when you're dating, you're looking for these red flags. Like, if these red flags are showing up, then that's not the person for you. It's obvious, right? But sometimes, like, when you're younger, you make all these mistakes, you're like, oh no, I really like him, but he's got that boat, but he's got this, I really like that. That's where people go wrong. You have to look out for the red flags, and they're always there. But, can I live with that? Yes, no. Some people could live. I have a friend that she says, I can live with, she told me she can live with an alcoholic, but cannot live with a drug addict. I don't know what the difference is, but I remember her telling me that, but I mean, that's one perspective. But yeah, those
you said
triggers. Mm-hmm.
you said something very, very important. And what you said is when we're in this relationship, we're looking for those red flags, right?
Right.
So in the moment that you're looking for those red flags, are you missing all the good things he does because you're looking for red flags? And you're like, okay, he should be doing that. Slide, slide left. Oh, he should be doing that. Slide left. Oh, that's fine. He should be doing that. He should pamper me. He should love on me. That's all. It's like, oh, he yelled at me. Slide right. That's a red flag. I need to write that down. Like, are we so focused as women that we are looking and just focusing on those red flag, those signals, and not looking at all the green ones? Like, could women get lost in their own mind saying like, okay, and what level of red flags are we talking about? He's like a 4 red flagger, maybe he's a 2 red flagger. Like what is the minimum maximum allowance that the women's club has allowed for men to be okay? Like, that guy's probably like a 3 red flagger. He should be good to go. He's marriage material. That guy's a 5 red flagger, a little dangerous. And to me, and here's the thing, and clearly, Michelle, I'm being sarcastic. I don't believe in the red flags because no one is perfect. No one. Right. You have your issues. Jay has a lot of issues, right? And then I have my issues.
Hey, I resemble that statement.
But I mean, you sure do. Anyway, so we all have our issues. The thing is this, and I think it's key, and this is something that I've learned lately in my life, in my mistakes in life, and where I'm at today. Mm-hmm. Is that we are too busy looking at the imperfection of people and not looking at the good they do, because we all fall short of being good. All of us. None of us are perfect. None of us. We all have something that someone's not going to like. It doesn't matter what, right? The way you scratch your nose, the way you shave your head, the way you gargle your mouthwash in the morning. Some men go the hard, and others don't, and that could be gross to women. Some is, there's everything could be a red flag. Let's be honest. Come on, let's be honest. But at what point? At what point do you start saying, you know what, out the door?
So I would say this: it depends on the person. Like, it depends on the first person. If you can agree, if you're comfortable with that red flag, then hey, you're good. Stay there. But if you're not comfortable, then that's the way out, right? So it depends on everybody. Like my friend, for example, she tolerates one thing, but she won't tolerate the other. That's a big red flag for me. But hey, it depends on the person, like I said.
Yeah, there's so many different things that, categories that you could put. I know men and women are different in what they look for, right? I think in the looks are always it's going to always be a thing, right? You look at somebody and you find them attractive initially, right? And then what is the next thing? So they open their mouth. Is that part of it? The amount of guys that I've talked to over the years that they're like, yeah, this girl was cute and super nice. She seemed really smart. And then I told her a joke and she laughed and she sounded like a hyena, and I just can't do it. Right. And so that is like that one weird thing that, that bugs certain guys. Right. So like for a female, and we'll kind of stay on the subject line you guys are doing. So let's say you meet a guy and he's like perfect 10 all the way across the board, green flags. If you want to point it at that, he's good looking, seems like he treats his mama good or whatever, all the things that green flag it,
all the good qualities,
all the good qualities, everything. And then you find out kind of has a terrible job and doesn't really make that good money, and his car's kind of breaking down and stuff like that, and he's living on friends' couches here and there. Is that something that you could live with? And then I'm going to put a part B to that. So let's say he has a great job, he has a boat, whatever, a mansion in Bev Hills and a couple other places, whatever. For us, right?
Yeah.
In Arizona, it'd be like Scottsdale.
Why you telling my story?
Now, all the other green flags aren't there. He doesn't get along with his family. He's kind of not really nice, kind of sarcastic and rude a lot of the times and things like that. Could you forego some of those reddish flags? We'll call them pink flags. They're not exactly red. They're pink flags, right? They're kind of like a little off center. And could you live with all that stuff? Kind of like you mentioned your friend, him being an alcoholic or a drug addict, and not even full blown alcoholic, not even full blown drug addict, just likes to smoke pot and maybe do some coke once in a while, likes to, have have 15 packs of beer on the weekend, whatever. Are these things that you could overlook because he has all the other stuff? So that would be my question to it. Like, what are the things that are absolute no's, and then what would be the things that are like, it depends on the situation as a whole?
Yeah, like you said, it depends on the situation. There's some women that will tolerate certain things and some that will not tolerate certain things. There's some women that they will tolerate a man that doesn't have a job, but he's good looking. He looks like a really nice candy, So there's some people that will tolerate things like that.
Soft to the eyes.
Boy,
He's soft to the eyes.
He's a good
Soft
candy.
to the eyes.
Yeah, he's
he did all
eyes.
Yeah, he did all of his ab workouts that we did not do, Joe. That's what it's all about.
Here we go. Why you got to bring me into this, bro? I did ab workouts, but it was just a different kind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not a six pack. It's definitely a keg. Look, bro.
So
it's definitely. A keg.
I love that question, how you brought it up, and how like, where do you balance it off? And I think this is where that maturity comes in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's key. Like, if you're still one of those people who are attracted, I mean, clearly the guy has to be, or the woman has to be attracted, but we are so hyper focused on physical attraction, where most of the people we've met have altered their image in one way or another, whether, they've increased their breast sizes, increased their butts, their cheeks, their bones, or like nothing's natural anymore. So like, what does that leave men? Men used to chase that. Men used to love that. That was like their pursuit. But now as people get older, especially the Gen Xers that are like already they're married and moved on, and you got the next generation, they're more selective, and not so much with looks. They're more selective in like, what does this person bring to the table? Like, what do they offer? Looks could be altered, they could be fixed, they could be changed, and someone that you fall in love with, or how they look 10 years from now could totally look opposite of that, right? And now what do? You leave them because that look's gone? And so, like, where are those core values? Like, where, it's the same thing, like the example you gave with your friend, that she'll tolerate a drunkard but not a drug addict. They're both addictive personalities, and one's going to be just a gateway to the next. So there's no winning there. Like, the red flags that you guys call the problem there is the dependency that he has on this, and clearly there's more to that than just, I love beer, right? There's clearly some emotional attachment to that. I mean, that's a whole different subject, but clearly that's going to bring some chaos into the relationship alone, right? Because you say you'll tolerate it. He just gets drunk and falls asleep. That's just one part of it. But wait till remember, when people meet each other, there's that honeymoon stage that Jay brings up a lot. It's the courtship. I call that the courtship. When people are in their best, right? This is the best of me. This is the best of you. Right. And this is what you get. Nah, it's not what I get, because that changes, right? Soon enough, you guys are now deeper in a relationship. You're like, oh, I don't like the way you do that. All of a sudden you don't like things about this individual. You're like, wait a minute. You never complained about it. Like when you used to laugh, and now you're like, oh my God, you're so immature. You don't know how to act in public. I'm like, I used to make you laugh with that, and like things start changing, and so it's important to understand that you're not going to find, you could have a list of 100 things, even 20 things. Look, these are the core values of the man that I want. I'm going to shut it down at 10 things that I want in this man. And I will not lower my standards. And I guarantee you will not find one man that will have all 10. I guarantee it.
No way.
But you know what? You will find a bunch of men that will say, I have those. A lot of men will say, oh, I have all 10. And plus you can throw that in there and this. And I love my mama. That's another one that goes in there, But the reality of things is, and that goes for one across the board, you will not find anyone that has 10 great values that a woman might be seeking. And I'm saying they're not all the same 10. They could be totally different 10s, because there's so many values that women could look for. And I guarantee you there's not one man that will fulfill or satisfy all 10 of those boxes. I guarantee it.
Right. And I agree with you. I believe that it's up to the person and what they will tolerate and will not tolerate. So if you have like 6 red flags and you can tolerate those 6 red flags, good for you, but it depends on the person. And you're right about everything. Like right now with social media, you see all these people with bigger everything and money, yachts, purses, expensive shoes, expensive clothes, and you think you're going to get that. But then once you meet that person, that's not the person. They probably don't even have a job or whatever it is. But then again, if they don't have a job, like I said before, and you have this one person that, very busy person, but this guy doesn't have a job, remember that, they're going to it's going to work out because, she's the one that's going to be making the money, right? In the other hand, if you have like a regular person and this guy has like lots to, give, then, and he likes her, I guess he can pay for whatever he likes, right? And I'm talking about like, buying things, maybe a boob job, I don't know, like different things. Sometimes there's men out there that they like her personality, they like her, they'll buy her a car, they start buying stuff. Not just that, you can have new body as well,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I've seen that a lot.
It's like, listen, babe, I love your personality. I love you, but we got to fix some stuff here.
Yeah, we're going to give you like a fresh this and a fresh that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know about you, Joe.
I
mean, it'd be one thing if your significant other, and this is my opinion, really wants to do that. As a guy, I don't think if there was some way I didn't find them attractive, I probably wouldn't be with them in the first place, right? And so I wouldn't ever be like, hey, I find you attractive, but you could use a little bit on your butt, or you need those big toes fixed because they look all funky skunky or whatever. But if she's like, listen, it's just, this is not for other people or anything. It's just for me. It's for my confidence, for my self-confidence. I want to feel better about myself in a bikini or whatever, I think that's a whole different thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. What do you got? What do you think, Joe?
I think here's the thing, and I get what you're saying, and here's my core honest truth. If you would have had me a few years back, I would have been saying like, man, I get the breast, get this, get that. I'm gonna be honest with you. In the way I see, life is too precious. My time is too valuable to just give to anybody and say, let's see how this goes. I like this, I like that. Beauty is perspectives, really. Like I could find a woman attractive, and Jay might not find the same woman attractive.
Right.
But we're talking about materialistic things. We lost our core values. Like and I get what you're saying. Like at this point, at this age, at our times, is really breast augmentation the best you could do? That's seriously what your goal is? Like who has the best purse?
I like my breasts
Gucci,
the way they
who's
are.
got
Thank
the
you very much.
Armani. Like although, yeah, I love them too. But is that really necessary in today's society? Like what? You're gonna grow old with this individual. That is your goal. You're gonna grow old, and what I buy them is irrelevant. Is what I could give them emotionally, the stability of emotion, the stability of security, and those are way more valuable than a Louis Vuitton purse. I think it's more valuable than a Gucci handbag that I'm able to give this person. Like, you know what? I know that and this is what I would want my significant other to say. I know that I'm going out to my friends, but I know if I get you drunk, all I got to do is call him and he's right here. He doesn't care what time it is because he worries about me. The guy doesn't even go to sleep until I'm home. That's what as a woman, that's what I would want. I would want a man that's like not at my beck and call, but I know that if anything, no matter where it is, what time it is, he is there ready and able for me. I would love a man that I value my job, but if my significant other would say, hey, I need this, I'm leaving my job because I'm going to go deal with what's my priority, right? Not what I think she wants to hear. It's what I feel I need to be done as a man. I'm like, hey, look, I can't get out there to help you with that tire, but I sent you some roses. I hope you like them. And I hope you give me the right address. But, like a woman doesn't care about that. Like, fool, I don't need roses. I need a tire changed, right? But I think that I think that's the main problem that we've lost in our society, not just with women, but with men. Superficially, we're looking at the wrong thing. We need to look for someone that, and I think that's the key here, Michelle. I think in retrospect, love is not an emotion. I keep saying this. It is an act, right? And it's not something that is, what's that word you use? Transactional, that Jay loves to use all the time. It's not a transactional thing. Like, for example, Michelle, if I do something for you, I do it not because I expect something in return of equal value. I do it because I care for you as a human being. I care about you as a person. And I do it because That is what I feel I need to do. Now, if you don't do anything in return, would that mean I'm not going to help you again? Absolutely not. I'm not. I'm like, if you need help, I'm going to help you again, because that's what we should be doing. In a
Right.
relationship, I feel that it should be the same. It doesn't matter what I could get you, or what luxuries I could give you, or what vacations. The point is, I'm with you. And as long as I'm by your side, you'll need nothing. And I think we've lost that value to where love has been transactional, but it should be sacrificial. You know what I mean? We should sacrifice ourselves for the love of our lives. We shouldn't be tit for tat. It shouldn't be transactional. It should be like, I will lay myself down for you no matter what. Not, I'm going
Right.
to lay myself down for you so you can get to the doctor's office to get those booty bigger and those breasts a little kicking. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. So that's where I think we need to change our mentality, not just women, but men as well. And I think that the communication is the key behind all of that. We lack communication. It's easier for a woman to communicate with her girlfriend than it is with her own man. And that's a problem in today's society, because then that girlfriend's going to say, well, you don't need that man because he clearly doesn't understand you. Well, no, spend the time necessary to explain. Because as men, let me tell you, we'll sit there and read an entire book on how to tear apart a gun and reassemble it, and we'll spend all day doing it. But
Right.
will we spend that much time trying to listen to a problem, or trying to we look, you know what, I'm going to build this because I know how it goes. I might have a few screws and a few 2x4s left, but that's okay. The structure is fine. So I think
Right.
what we need to do is, we need to, that same patience that you have to speak to your girlfriend about your day and your problems, that same patience should be across the board with your man as well, not just your girlfriend. And same for men. That same patience you have to talk to your children, because men do break down for their kids. So that same patience you have to break down for your children and explain things. We should have that patience first and foremost with our women. First and foremost.
Right.
They should be our
And
priority, then our children.
mhm.
And that's the way it should be. And I think that we're missing that. And I think we need to get back to that. What do you think?
I believe so. I think that we should get back to that. But right now, with social media, with everything that's going on in the world, it doesn't seem like it. Everyone's more like on the material thing, like, you give me this transactional. What are you going to give me for this? And that's the problem that a lot of people encounter, that little transactional feeling, instead of like, I will be there, my security blanket, you're my person that will be there for me no matter what happens. More of a giver, and not trying to get something in return, like, a tit for tat. It's difficult, I'll be honest with you, because when you're trying to find that homebody or that person to connect with, good connection, sometimes it's hard. Most men today, they're just like, how they call women gold diggers. There's a lot of men that are gold digging too.
Yeah.
Trust me on that one. Yeah. A lot of men, if you have your life together, a house, a car, you have your good job, your good career going, and this guy doesn't have, nothing, or maybe he has a little job, but not his whole career. He made a lot of mistakes, right? They leech on. That's another thing too. So it's really hard to find a balance, and I think that what we're looking for is a balance with somebody that will meet us, with kind of like the same perspectives, kind of the same like security, not really financially, but hey, you're going to be there for me. When things go wrong or things go bad, you're going to be there, the emotional as well, right? Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think one of the things that for women, and you can say if this is correct or not, and this is kind of it's attractive for men about women too, but in a completely different way. But, effort is attractive to people. I used to be asked years ago, what makes this employee one of your favorites? Why are they one of your favorite employees? Well, because they're a good worker, not because I go to lunch with them, not because I like them the most, not because of their male or female or the color of their skin or anything, because of their effort, what they put in. They don't call out of work. They don't cause problems and drama at work and all that kind of stuff. So when you filter that down to a relationship, effort is attractive. I mean, being being proactive in your relationship, helping, planning, instead of having to be asked. I mean, this is an old one that's been around forever.
Right.
If you're living together and the guy takes the trash out, that's a good thing, right? It's a little
Right.
thing. It's stupid, but it's something that a guy should really do. Can a woman
Right.
take out the trash? Absolutely. But she should never have to, because that's part of a guy's job. And it's
Right.
just like, I look at like my grandparents, they were born, gosh, in the teens,
Right.
1910, 1915 kind of thing. And my grandmother did all of the inside stuff. She cooked, she cleaned and everything. And nowadays, like you say, social media and all this, they'd be like, oh, that's the patriarchy. Yeah, but my grandmother never had to worry about anything in that house. If
Right.
the sink leaked, boom, grandpa was fixing it. The car
Right.
wasn't working, grandpa fixed it. He mowed the lawn, he fixed the roof, he did all the manly stuff. She did all the womanly stuff, and it worked perfectly. Those people
Right.
were married, they both had ended up passing away. But I mean, you're talking about close to 70 years of marriage. 70 years. I mean,
Wow.
I don't even know if I'll live 70 years, period. Definitely can't make the marriage goal at this point. It was a different time, and those folks had a whole different perspective on life and what our basic roles were. And it's not that my grandfather couldn't pick up a pan and heat a pot of coffee or something. It's not that my grandmother couldn't go out and, do stuff out in the yard or what have you, but it was just the understood roles that, hey, I'm going to take care of this person that I love more than anybody else on this darn planet. I'm going to do everything I can for them. And we're really missing that. You guys were talking about something, and I think it's a big one is, and you've heard it, it's called, what do you bring to the table? Right. So what are you bringing to the table in this relationship? And then you hear the smart Alex, they're like, well, I bring the table. What do you bring to the table? I bring the table. It's like, okay, mister, that's a good one. It's good for comedy hour, but it's not good for paying the bills and keeping the emotional bills paid up, right? Because that's the thing for me that I feel in relationships. You have the external bills that you have to pay, and then you have the internal bills you have to pay. You have to pay the stuff that everybody else in the world needs from you, the rent or the mortgage or whatever it is that comes out of your physical bank account. And then we have internal bank accounts that we have to pay each other with. And sometimes, and Joe and I have talked about this, how many times, Joe, because you hear the thing, relationships are 50-50.
All the time.
No, they're not. That's impossible for them to be 50-50. And then some people will say, well, they're 100-100. You got to give 100% and they got to give 100%. That's incorrect too. Relationships are whatever percentage you can give today. This may be a good day for me, and I'm giving you 80%. And you're walking in the door 80 or 90%. I've had a great day, and you come in and you're spent. You had a horrible day at work. Somebody, dented your car with a stupid shopping cart or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're done. You're drained. It's that time of the month. It's, all the freaking things that could happen today are happening today. And so I have to come up to the level and be there. And maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe I'm not there anymore. Family member passed away, and the boss at work is being a turd, and you're just like down in the dumps. And now, with that being said, what happens when both of you are at 5%? How do you deal with that, right? How do you deal with, it's not always going to be perfect, and the road's not always going to be glistening with gold and Birkin bags and big screen TVs, right? It's not always going to be that. So how do you deal with those lulls? How do you bring each other up when you're both at a emotional and mental deficit? I would say relationship deficit. How do you deal with that? What is your opinion on how do you get past that?
So my opinion would be more like, let's say both of us are at a 5%, right? You either, take a step back and, I need some time. You communicate, I need some time to myself, or let's just not talk right now. Go into the other room, watch your show, get ready for bed or whatever, or cook or whatever you need to do, and just move on with your day. It's never going to be perfect. We want this perfect, like, relationship, perfect everything, coming home to, like, flowers and roses and dinner being cooked. It's not going to be like that, okay? But it comes down to communication. If you can communicate, honey, I had a bad day. It's not working out for me today because of A, B, and C. Oh, okay. You just have to I don't want to hear it. You already know you're at 5%, both of you, right? Yeah. So that's where you go into either another room or I'll be back. I'm going to go shop for a little bit. I'll be back.
I'm going to go spend your money. It makes me feel better.
It makes me feel better.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't. That's what I talk about, sacrificial love. That we should not, like, if we're both at 5%, man, make that effort, push that other person, because at the end of the day, neither one of you should be going to bed upset. Does it happen? Yes, but you shouldn't, and I think that's important. That's something I'm learning now. And I think it's key because it's something that I've never practiced before. Before going to bed upset was the norm. And now that I'm practicing something different, it's amazing how that alone could shift things. When we let things affect us, and let it stir in us, and then on top of that, we're not feeling that connection, we're not feeling that love, we're not, if we normally hug, we're not hugging, and it becomes distant more and more and more and more. We're thinking we're doing the right thing by walking away and not bringing it up, but it's not happening that way. Women tend to pull away more because now the man is pulled away more, and it's just it's a competition in relationships nowadays. It's not, people are not vested in it. They're not looking at a relationship like they should be. Like Jay's example of his grandparents is key. Like, they knew their role. Not that now people are like, oh, get to do your role. That's not about that. It's about where that gap is. We need to close it, right? If we know our girl's not a morning girl, then you get up in the morning and make the coffee. You get things ready. And if she knows that if you know that I go to bed early, well, then you do all the preps for stuff that need to be happening that he can't get to because he has to go to bed early. It's called compromise. It's called dealing with a relationship and working together. Because here, and I hate, and I don't want to, not that I hate doing it, but I don't want to do it because I don't want it to go stir another way. But we need to look at things biblically. When a man and a woman come together, they form one unit, one family unit. And a lot of mistakes people make is that when they start having children, they put the children before themselves, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
100%.
The man and the woman are always priority. They're always number one. And we start losing that, and we start focusing on the kids, and the needs of the man and the needs of the woman start going to the wayside. And before you know it, your relationship only exists because of the children, and that's not a relationship. Right? The relationship should exist, and it does exist because two strangers decided to fall in love with each other, and they need to make it work. And if it didn't work, then you move on, but you don't treat the next person the same way because it's not the same person. Right? And so there's a lot of growing that needs to be done. There's a lot of development that needs to happen, and we need to look at things in a different perspective. Clearly, what we've been doing for years and years is not working, and we still don't get it. We're like those kids, those little different shaped toys that go into this little ball at the doctor's office when you were growing up, Jay, and you kept trying to put the circle in the square, and it just wasn't happening. Little did we know that we were kind of turd birds, right? We were
about that, man. I'm still embarrassed about that. Jeez.
Well, bro, I know, but it happens, and so that's us today with our relationship. We're like, nah, it's going to work. No, you can't force something. If it didn't work the past 3 times that you tried doing it, it's not going to work the 4th, 5th, and 6th time. Change your perspective. Change who you are. And a lot of times, by that little change, if you guys get in an argument, every time it gets heated and they start yelling, guess what? One of you should not do that anymore. One of you should come here at a different perspective, at a different volume, at a different level, and just knock the other person off their guard. Like, whoa. Normally you're fighting with me. You're not so calm. And now we start changing things, right? And that's how it starts. Hey, this is how I normally respond, but I'm going to change it up today. I'm going to come in with a lower voice, a little softer, and say, look, babe, I know you're going through a lot at work. I know there's a lot on you, and I don't understand that because I don't know a lot about what's going on, but help me understand that. A woman's going to go like, whoa, who are you, bro? Like, do you even care? I do care, but I don't want to get involved too much because I know that sometimes you just want me to listen, but I do care. How can I help? How can you explain it to me so I could try to, if you want, I could try to help you, right? With how you're feeling, not with what's going on, because that has to come from you, but how you could look at it differently. Like I look at things at work differently. Maybe you could do it the same way, but open up to each other. You're each other's person. You're the other half of the one. So in reality, would your left arm be fighting with your right arm and allow that to? That's kind of crazy, right? Wouldn't you think that is crazy?
Right.
You're like, oh, bad arm. Yeah, I'll hit you back, right? That's crazy. So you should consider
Right.
your spouse the same way. That is an extension of me. My spouse is an extension of me. They are an extremity of my body. So I should be whole with that and fix whatever that is. Instead of being, that's you, I'm me, we're going to fight. No, it's not you and that person against each other. It's you and him, or you and her against everything else, against the problem, against the kids if they get crazy, against the family, against the friends. It's always you and them. It's one person. It's not you're half of a whole. And we forgot that. We lost track of that. And I think that men and women, we need to do better in communicating. We need to do better in solving our issues without going to extremes and disrespecting each other. I think once you lose respect, no matter what you do, you can't get it back. It's gone, right? Because there's
Yep.
always going to be
Yeah.
that hurt. There's always going to
That's
be that,
true.
like, no, you could say I'm sorry, you could do all that, but then it's going to come back. Remember that one time when you called me this and this and this? It destroys people, both men and women. That at that point we're all even, right? An insult's an insult, disrespect's a disrespect. Men live on disrespect, and so
Right.
once that happens, it's done. Move on, because at that point you're not going to solve anything. But don't get to that point. You have a new relationship, you have a new love, you have a new whatever the case is. Treat it with kid hands, right? With care. Treat it, nourish it, protect it, love it, and make it part of you. Just like I'm gonna take care of a wound in my arm. I'm gonna gauze it up. I'm gonna do everything I can to ensure that it heals properly. That's what you should be doing with your other half, which is your partner. You should ensure that they're healing. If they had trauma from another relationship, then what your job is to heal that, to give them security, to give them a different perspective of life and say, that's not how it is. I'm here for you. We need to communicate. And I think that's the key to everything in our society. We just don't like to talk about it because, you don't understand me. Well, of course I don't. I'm not you. Help me understand, though. Instead of fighting me and saying, you don't understand me, get out of my face, I'm going to go shopping. How about let's take a moment and let me talk about exactly how I'm feeling and see if you understand or help you understand. I don't know, Michelle. I think that's important. I feel that you think we're on the same page when it comes to that. I think communication is key. And I think Jay, you and I have agreed for years. Social media is evil. It's horrible.
It is.
And it is. And the social media guys, I know we get bored, but here's the thing. I have tons of them. Instead of scrolling and doing what they call that death scroll, pick up a book, read a book, right? Instead of doing this in bed next to your loved one, put them down and talk to them. Talk to them.
Yeah.
They're right there. It's free. I don't know. Maybe I'm old fashioned. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you are a little old fashioned.
I agree with you, Joe, but you also have to understand that, like in today's society, it's not just the man working and the woman at home. I mean, both people typically will work. The woman comes in and she's tired too, just like the man, but yet he wants home cooked meal, maybe foot massage or something. Like, no, I'm tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you have to look at those perspectives too. Like, they're both at 5%, like we said, and they want the extras. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm tired too. I had a long day. So and going back to it too, like if you do have that type of relationship, then you have to set boundaries and you have to come to agreements. Like, okay, when this happens, we need to do this, and that's the only way you're going to be able to solve those situations and find resolutions so it won't be so bad. Are we going to make a big purchase? Okay, we both have to agree upon. He can't go buy a car and not tell me about it. You know what I'm saying? Or go
Right.
buy something huge and not tell me about it. I want to be part of it. that's where the value and the respect and everything comes in hand.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of couples like that. Like I know somebody that I work with, and
Mhm.
I think, I mean, in my opinion, it's really good. So she, for her job, she
Mhm.
does accounting and stuff like that, and for a
Mhm.
big, really big company. And
Mhm.
so she handles all their finances, and he's joking about it, but he's being part truthful. He's just
Mhm.
being funny. He's like, I don't even know how much money we have. Seriously, bro, I couldn't tell you if we have 100,000 or 100 million. He goes, I don't know. She handles the money. I call her and say, hey, I want to buy a new set of golf clubs. Can I do that? And she's like, yeah, go for it. Buy whatever you want. You know, don't spend more than $6,000 on golf clubs or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know how much golf clubs cost.
Mhm.
But same thing. And then, but exactly what you said, Michelle, she will tell him, hey, honey, I'm going to go buy a new purse or whatever, you know, or I'm going to
Mhm.
get my nails done or something like that. And I said nails done. That was incorrect. Anything. So they've set this kind of a cap limit
Yeah.
that anything under, and I don't know what that number is for them, but anything under $400, $500, whatever, they don't tell each other about it. They just do it because, you
Right.
know, they make enough money, and not to go crazy or anything like that. But if it is, you know, $1,000 or $5,000, like you said, you know, a new car or something like that, yeah, it's probably not smart to pull up in the driveway and, you know, your spouse is driving this car, and now all of a sudden you pull up in the new Corvette or whatever, you know, the BMW X6 or whatever,
Yeah. There
and,
you
you
go.
know, M series. Ooh, boy. And
Nice.
now they're like, what? You didn't even talk to me about it? And,
Right.
you know, why don't we have twinsies in the driveway, right? So yeah, it's really important. Joe mentioned something earlier about parents, and I think that's a touchy subject for a lot of people, because in the general world, we say that the kids are the most important, and they are, and I'm not saying that they're not. And this goes for couples that are together and married and this and that. You have to put your spouse first before your kids. Your kids have to see that their mom and dad are in lockstep. And when you don't agree, you don't disagree in front of the children, right? So the children never know that you disagreed and had a deal. When parents are not in lockstep together, when they're not equally yoked, as the Bible says,
Mhm.
then you're no good for the kids, right? Because the kids now see you arguing, they see you not together, they pit mom against dad on every issue possible. So it's a really big one, and I think it's one that has fallen apart horribly, and it's why we're where we're at now, because we have so many kids that, you know, they didn't have, even if it was a single parent thing, they didn't have that person that gave a great example for them. And you know, my mom and dad separated when I was pretty young, and I never wanted to do anything that, because I knew my mom could call my dad, and you know, he'd come down and pow, you know, literally. so
Regardless
so
where you're at.
yeah, regardless of where you're at. So there was always the fear respect thing. Joe and I have had this conversation before too, and I've told my mom now. My dad passed away years ago, but that I feared my dad because I knew he would kick my butt, and I had this fear respect for my mom. I never ever wanted to see her disappointed or cry or anything like that because of something dumb I did. So not to say I didn't do dumb stuff, but so with all that,
All the time.
you know, in a relationship, you really want to be as even keeled again. And so we were talking about the 5% deal, right? You both walk in, you're both at 5%. Everybody's got a different way they would handle it. Joe's right. You got to kind of just suck it up and do whatever you can. And, you know, you come and hug her and give her a kiss on the head and say, babe, I know you're probably done for the day. I am too. You want me to help with dinner? You want me to make dinner?
Mhm.
I don't feel like it, but I'm going to do whatever you need. And then what does that do to her? She doesn't want to make dinner. Now all of a sudden she goes, oh my gosh, she's going to make dinner. Oh, well, let's do it together. Let's, you know, and now you're starting to boost each other in that 5%. Maybe you're only at 7 now each, but you're kind of pumping each other up. And it's one of those things that it's difficult. It is difficult, and things are difficult, and
Right.
life's not going to be easy. And the Bible, that's another thing. The Bible doesn't say that we are to live an easy life, you know. And just like you said, Michelle, social media has made it where everything's perfect. Everybody's
Yeah. Right.
butt's perfect. Everybody's bank account is perfect. Everybody
Mhm.
is on vacation all the time. Nobody works anymore, right? So
Right.
you know, everybody's on a bar on a high rise somewhere in downtown LA or New York or San Francisco or wherever they're at.
Right.
And it's like, that's not real life. That's not how it goes. You know, we're constantly struggling to stay afloat in our financial world, our emotional world, and our worlds together. You know, there's
Correct.
a lot for us to do to make
Yeah.
it easier and better on our significant other, because Joe and I, one of our big beliefs, and it's not that women don't have to, contribute to the relationship, but we are supposed to be the leaders of the family. We don't get a day off. We don't get a time to we're supposed to say, we're never supposed to let our female partner know I'm at 5% today. Right, Joe?
Right.
I mean, we're never supposed to do that. Never supposed to say that, that we're weak today.
Yeah.
Now, the vulnerability thing is that women are smart. They're more intuitive than we are. So she's going to see that. You can say, oh, I'm great today. And she's like, BS, man, you're totally down in the dumps. I can totally see it. And so now you just lied to me. That means you don't trust me, and all that. Now that creates a whole nother factor of issues for her that now we've got to deal with later, because she's going to bring it up. This is full circle. We started in the beginning. She's going to bring that. She's going to bring that up 6.5 months from now and remind you of that very moment that you lied and did not trust her. The one thing that I would kind of leave you with, and you can tell me what you think about this little story. And I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's a video meme kind of thing. And it's this guy, he's sitting on a porch, right? And his wife comes out and she's filming, and he's sitting there and he's got a spool of wire. And there's not much left, probably 20 feet of wire left.
Hey, what are you doing? I came out to check on you.
Huh?
What are you doing? Thought you were working.
I'm looking at this.
What is it?
It's wire. It's a spool of wire. And I'm almost out of it. Can you see the spool of wire?
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost out of it.
Okay.
And I've had this spool of wire for like 40 years. I bought it like this it's not a long time ago, but it's like 40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone. Does that make sense? This is what's left. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sad for you, but you're wearing your Jets hat, and I'm a little concerned right now that you're wearing your Jets hat. I thought that's why you were crying.
Okay, I'm done.
It's really kind of heartwarming, because he's basically using a analogy of the wire for his life that he spent, and obviously spent with her. And then she goes, oh, well, I just thought there was something wrong with you because you have your Cowboys hat on, or whatever it was.
What, bro? It wasn't a Cowboys hat, bro. Here we go.
It wasn't, but I don't remember what sports team it was. I knew it was a good poke in the side for you. Joe's done with this episode. So anyways, he gets up and walks away. And my key takeaway with that was she failed at a huge moment where he was opening up to something he probably would have never opened up to her before. And I guarantee you that guy's never going to open up like that again, right, to her. Or if he does, it's going to be a long time down the road. So my ask on that is, women want men to open up, but when they do, see, oh, wow, my guy's, he's opening up, but he's being weak, and not being the man that I thought he was. So at what point, where's the teeter-totter? Where do we put it that a man's opening up and being honest and truthful with you, but that he's not being weak and too vulnerable on his female side? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's a good thing when men do open up and, and express like whatever the situation was to their wives or their significant other. That's a good thing. It's positive. And yeah, you're right. Sometimes, depending on the woman, some women will be like, oh, this guy's like a little girl. He's weak, but then some women will be like, oh, he opened up. I feel like now we're more connected, so it can go both ways, basically, depending who it is. And also depending on the value of the relationship, how long they've been together. Have they opened up before? Do they value each other equally? It has a lot of factors. It's just like not one. We can't really, it's not like a specific factor. There's so many other components that go with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would
there
totally
you have
agree.
it. There you have it, man. There, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. We have no hope. There's absolutely no hope, because it's a give. It's what there might be some that do it. Might say some that don't. So, man, here we go. Don't be vulnerable. Be who you are and suck it up. right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we have to be honest, Michelle. If in one's breath, you're like, there's some that do, there's another. That message, and I'm glad you're being honest, because the reality of things is that men are not going to do it. Men, that is when they open up, the last person they ever opened up to is their mother.
Right.
And when you abuse that, any woman says that like you're weak for crying or you're weak for opening up that way, you'll never ever
You won't do that again.
see that man ever cry in front of you again. He'll never have
100%.
You'll have a man that comes home and no emotions will ever be shared, and you've just totally destroyed one of the best things that you could have had. And honestly, if women do that, well, good for those men, because those women probably deserve to be alone for the rest of their lives. Because they're, and I'm being honest, and you know, it's not right. I mean, could you imagine if men would do that? If men would say, like, you're crying about how they treated you at work, man, get out of here. You know how much they treat me at work all the time? Get out of here. Get out of here. A woman, we could, I kid you not, we could literally destroy a woman's emotions in an afternoon. But we don't, because we are men, and and we are here to guide. We're guides. We like, you're behind us. Like when you're walking on the sidewalk, we push you against the building, not by the road, in case a car comes on the curb. We don't want you to get hit. Like we're that's a man, you know, and the fact that a man that's willing to put and lay his life down for you, and then you're just going to ridicule him because he opened up, because he felt that connection with his spouse or his loved one. He felt that intimacy, that he could trust you like he could trust his own mother, and you take advantage of that. You'll never ever have that man ever give you anything that is dear to him ever, and that includes his love, because you literally killed it. And going back to what you were saying earlier, yes, I agree with you. You know, a man shouldn't come home if his wife's spent and say, like, you know, where's dinner? Nothing like that. But in the same breath, women should not expect men to do anything either, right? Because if you're saying, I can't do it because I'm spent, I'm tired, but I need you to go do this, this, and this, and this. What? You know what I mean? A man is going to do it, but you're slowly killing him inside, because you're like, he's thinking, wow, I have to look for you, and that's okay because I don't want nothing in return. But at what point, you know, and how far is this love going to be, the sacrificial love? You know, to what degree? Like, do you not see what I'm doing for you? You know, and there's going to be a point where that man just gets tired of it. And you know how women are. A woman's gonna see this man. She's gonna get involved, and before you know it, you lost your man, right? And your thing to your girlfriend is like, I don't know. He wasn't worth it. I'm a good woman. I'm a good catch, right? And here comes the excuses. I'll go back to what I was saying. We need to do better in relationships, to communicate, do what is best for each other, right? Not for me. I'm not going to do what's best for me. I'm going to do what's best for the person I love. Because if I'm already committed in that relationship, I'm vested. What's best for me is what I'm vested in, and that's her. Right. So I'm going to invest in that. And how do I invest in that? By giving my all, by giving my love, my sacrificial love to that person. And nothing in return. But you're not you're not going to hold me underwater either. Because if you can't give me that, because you know what fuels that? Your kindness, your peace, your love, that fuels that. When a man comes home and there's chaos and there's no peace and there's you're drowning him slowly. Because we get fueled, we fuel that sacrificial love in how peaceful it is to come home to you, how nice it is to be by you next to the couch and just relaxing, right? But starts becoming chaotic. We have nothing to come home to but chaos, stress, no peace. Our sacrificial love dies. So I'm just saying, communicate, be smarter. Michelle, thank you for your time. Great insight on everything we talked about today. I really hope that our listeners take a little bit of what we talked about and kind of measure to what they're doing in their life, and maybe see, hey, I have opportunities here. And maybe we need to sit down and talk about this, right? Jay, I don't know. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I hope even one person can get something out of it. You know, it's always good to get a female perspective on relationship stuff, because our channel is pretty much just two dudes and our opinions on what's going on, you know, and what we've experienced. We've never experienced what a female experiences. So I don't know. I've never went shopping for a Birkin bag yet. So
yet.
Night is young. The night is young.
The night is young. The night is young, and the malls are open. All right, y'all. Michelle, did you have anything you wanted to fire off at us at the very end here? Or?
I just want to say, thank you. It was great coming on and kind of giving a perspective. It's not going to be for everybody, but if somebody can take away a little something, that would be great. It can help somebody. Thank you very much, and I wish everybody the best.
Yeah, you too. It was great to have you on here.
Awesome.
And we'll see if we can do it again sometime. So, all right, everybody. Well, before we get out of here, make sure and smash that like button, subscribe to Outspoken, share the show with everyone you know, and hit the bell icon to get updated when we upload a new episode. Make sure you guys take care of one another.
Do better, be better.
And as always, God bless America.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Michelle, thank you again. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you next Tuesday.